Some killers hide in plain sight. Others vanish without a trace. But the most chilling ones, they leave behind stories we can't explain or forget. These are 3 real cases where delusion became deadly. Case 1. The disappearance of Kenny Veach, the man who walked into mystery. They say some doors should never be opened. Kenny Veach didn't listen. In 2014, Kenny Veach was a 47-year-old hiker-inventor and YouTube explorer from Las Vegas. By most accounts, he was curious, free-spirited, and deeply drawn to the unknown. But on one hike in the Nevada desert, he may have ventured too far into a mystery that refused to let him go. Kenny wasn't a stranger to the vast and dangerous wilderness around southern Nevada. He frequently took long solo hikes through areas few dared explore. But what made Kenny different was his fascination with the strange. One day, he left a comment on a YouTube video about Area 51. One time during one of my hikes out by Nellis Air Force Base, I found a cave that scared the hell out of me. My whole body began to vibrate the closer I got to it. The moment I got to the entrance, the vibrations became so strong I had to turn back. I think it was haunted or something. That comment exploded. Strangers urged him to return. Others warned him not to. But Kenny, he was determined to find the cave again. He even gave it a nickname, the M Cave. Kenny documented his hikes and odd discoveries on his YouTube channel. His video before the final trip, titled M Cave Hike, shows him in good spirits, joking and narrating as he trekked through the steep, rocky landscape. He was looking for the M Cave but never found it that day. Still, he promised to go back. On November 10, 2014, Kenny packed up supplies and set off again into the Mojave Desert. He brought his camera, intending to document the search. This time, he didn't return. 3 days later, his girlfriend reported him missing. Search teams scoured the area. Eventually, they found his phone neatly placed inside an abandoned mine shaft. But there were no other clues, no backpack, no footprints, no remains. It was as if Kenny had simply vanished. The discovery of his phone raised more questions than answers. Why leave it behind? Why place it so neatly? Did he drop it accidentally, or was it intentional? Was it a sign, a breadcrumb, or just an eerie coincidence? Kenny's disappearance became a legend on internet forums and conspiracy circles. People latched on to the idea that he had found something forbidden. Some suggested he stumbled upon secret government experiments or even an entrance to an underground base. Others leaned toward the supernatural. The cave was a portal, a cursed site, or even a doorway to another realm. His girlfriend pushed back on the suicide theories. She said he was optimistic, working on inventions, and had a bright outlook. He had no history of mental illness or depression. His family echoed the same. But what struck people most was the intensity of Kenny's own words before he vanished. He described the vibrations at the mouth of the cave with such conviction, like something alive was pushing him back. Could it have been an infrasound phenomenon or something else? Something unknown. Some armchair investigators returned to the desert, retracing Kenny's steps, trying to locate the cave based on his video. But no one has definitively found it. Some say it never existed. Others believe it's hidden for a reason. One hiker uploaded a video from the same area and claimed he felt the same vibrations near a cave, but offered no proof. Another claimed government agents were following him after asking too many questions about Kenny's case. As the years passed, the story grew colder. But online, it kept burning. Reddit threads, YouTube documentaries, even podcasts continued to explore every possibility, every twist, every theory. Kenny Veach became more than just a missing person. He became a symbol of curiosity, of the human urge to seek what lies just out of reach. And maybe of the price we pay when we look too deeply. No one has found him. No one has found the M Cave. Was it just another fatal misstep in one of the harshest deserts in America? Or something stranger? Kenny walked into the wild with a camera and a question. He left behind silence. And sometimes, silence is the loudest answer of all. Despite renewed search efforts and increasing media coverage, no new evidence has surfaced. Volunteers, hikers, and even drone explorers continue to search the surrounding canyons, but the desert keeps its secrets well. To this day, Kenny Veach remains one of the most unsettling mysteries to emerge from the American wilderness in the digital age. The cave may still be out there, but maybe it was never about the cave. Maybe the real mystery was Kenny himself. Case 2. The Vanishing of Dennis Martin, a father's worst nightmare. It was Father's Day weekend, 1969. The Great Smoky Mountains National Park buzzed with families out for summer hikes and picnics. Among them was a man named Bill Martin, who had brought his 2 sons, Douglas and Dennis, along for a weekend trip into the wilderness. Dennis Martin was 6 years old, small for his age, shy and sweet-natured. This was supposed to be a bonding trip, a simple hike and camp out near Spence Field, a high meadow deep in the mountains. The Martins weren't alone. They had met another family with the same last name, no relation, and the kids were playing together in the clearing. What happened next became one of the most chilling disappearances in American park history. Around 4:30 p.m. on June 14, 1969, the children decided to play a prank on the adults. They would hide behind bushes and jump out to surprise them. It was innocent fun. But when the children emerged, Dennis didn't. His father immediately stood up and began calling his name. Within minutes, panic set in. Bill ran over a mile up the Appalachian Trail, shouting and searching. He told a park ranger what had happened. Within hours, a full search had begun. But Dennis Martin had vanished without a trace. No scream, no struggle, no sign of where he went. One moment he was there, then gone. The next day, the U.S. Army and National Guard joined the effort. Helicopters hovered overhead. Bloodhounds were brought in. Over the next week, more than 400 people combed the woods in one of the largest search and rescue operations in U.S. history. But not a single clue was found. No clothing, no blood, no tracks, no scent. The forest seemed to have swallowed Dennis whole. Then came the reports, one of them stranger than the next. A family hiking several miles away claimed they heard a scream shortly after Dennis went missing. They also reported seeing a rough-looking man darting through the trees carrying something over his shoulder. This sighting was never confirmed. No suspect was ever found. Some dismissed it entirely, but others believed Dennis may have been abducted. It wasn't just the lack of evidence that troubled people, it was the speed. A 6-year-old child doesn't move fast through dense terrain. If he had simply wandered off, surely he would have been found nearby. But despite the massive manhunt, the area was swept clean. Speculation grew. Some suggested Dennis fell into a hidden crevice or bear den. Others believed he drowned in a nearby stream and was carried away. But one theory refused to die, that something or someone had taken him, something capable of disappearing without a sound. In the years following, the Martin family kept pressing for answers, but none came. No ransom demand, no physical remains, nothing. The National Park Service eventually scaled down the search. The case became cold, and Dennis Martin's name became etched into the folklore of missing children in America's wildlands. Online forums and mystery researchers have since connected Dennis's case to other strange vanishings in national parks, cases with eerily similar details, sudden silence, lack of evidence, no logical trail. David Paulides, a former police officer turned investigator, would later cite the Dennis Martin case in his Missing 411 series, which documents mysterious disappearances in U.S. wilderness areas. To this day, skeptics and believers alike argue over what happened that afternoon in 1969. Was it a tragic accident, an abduction, or something more sinister that the forest still hides? One thing is certain: a father watched his son play just a few feet away and never saw him again. In the heart of one of America's most visited parks, a mystery was born, and it has never been solved. More than 50 years later, the name Dennis Martin still stirs unease in the minds of hikers who cross through Spence Field. There's no plaque, no marker, just stories whispered among rangers and campers. Stories of a boy who disappeared while playing hide-and-seek and was never found. And sometimes the scariest thing is when the forest says nothing at all. Case 3. The Cowden Family Disappearance, Rogue River, Mystery, Oregon, 1974. On a quiet Labor Day weekend in 1974, the Cowden family, Richard, Belinda, and their 2 children, David 5 and Melissa 5 months, set out for a short camping trip in the Siskiyou Mountains near Copper, Oregon, within the vast bounds of the Rogue River National Forest. It was supposed to be a peaceful weekend under the trees, but by Monday, they had vanished without a trace. What began as a typical American holiday turned into one of the most haunting unsolved mysteries in the history of U.S. national parks. The family arrived at the campsite on August 30th and were last seen that afternoon by a store clerk at a nearby general store where they purchased milk. Richard's truck was parked neatly at their site. The tent was still up. Inside, belongings were in place. But when Richard's mother came by to meet them for dinner on September 1st, no one was there. At first, police assumed the Cowdens had wandered off. But something didn't sit right. The family dog was found pacing near the truck. The campfire had not been lit. The milk Richard had bought remained untouched in a cooler. Belinda's purse was still at the site. Even their swimsuits had been laid out to dry as if they had been interrupted midday and simply disappeared. Search parties were quickly assembled. Helicopters, dogs, and over 100 volunteers combed the dense woods. But days turned into weeks. Nothing was found. No clothing, no bodies, no signs of a struggle. The Cowdens were simply gone. The case grew cold. Rumors spread. Some speculated about animal attacks. Others whispered about cults or drug traffickers in the woods. But the truth remained elusive. Then, 7 months later, on April 12, 1975, 2 hikers stumbled upon a gruesome discovery. Less than 7 miles from the campsite, they found a rusted blanket covering 2 small bodies hidden inside an abandoned mine shaft. Nearby, the decomposed remains of Richard Cowden were found tied to a tree. The remains of Belinda were located several feet away. It was clear the Cowdens hadn't simply gone missing. They had been murdered. But who would kill a family with a 5-month-old baby? And why? The investigation revealed that Belinda and the children had likely been killed at the campsite and transported to the remote mine. Richard may have been forced to accompany the killer before being executed. But without forensic technology or solid leads, the case stalled. Suspicion briefly turned toward a local man with a violent history who had previously been jailed for unrelated crimes. He had been seen in the area around the time of the Cowden disappearance and was later imprisoned for unrelated murders. But without physical evidence, no charges were filed. To this day, the Cowden family murders remain one of Oregon's most enduring cold cases. No arrests, no clear motive, just a family wiped out in the span of an afternoon deep in the woods. For visitors to the Rogue River Wilderness, the site is unmarked, but the story lingers. Some say hikers have reported uneasy feelings near the area. Others refuse to camp there altogether. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, the Cowden family's story remains a chilling reminder that not all who enter the forest come back, and some disappear without ever making a sound. 3 disappearances, 3 parks, 3 lives swallowed by wilderness and silence. If these stories echo in your thoughts long after the screen fades, don't forget to subscribe to Roadside Tales, because some trails never really go cold.